Okay, so for this deep dive, we're really going into the dark. We're unpacking a confession, a story about a complete psychological collapse into madness.
And the source is Edgar Allan Poe's 1843 short story, The Black Cat.
Right, and what's so compelling is that the narrator sets the stage for us immediately. He's writing this the day before he's scheduled to die.
Exactly. He says his only purpose is to, and I'm quoting here, unburden my soul. He doesn't actually expect us, or you, the listener, to believe him.
He even says his own senses reject what he's experienced, but he feels he has to tell this story, this series of mere household events.
Which is such a chilling phrase. Household events that have, as he says, terrified, have tortured, have destroyed him.
So that's our mission here. We're going to trace that path, follow his self-destruction through the source.
And we're going to test his theory, his hope, really. He wonders if a more calm, more logical mind could maybe reduce all this terror to just, an ordinary succession of very natural causes and effects.
Which seems, to put it mildly, like a long shot based on what he describes.
It's the central tension Poe gives us, isn't it? The man's mind is falling apart, but is there also something else at play, something supernatural?
Something like cosmic justice.
Exactly. We're looking at that line where self-destruction meets judgment.
So let's start at the beginning. The source is very careful to establish who this man was before everything fell apart. He says he was known for his docility and humanity, a conspicuous tenderness of heart. He loved animals, had a ton of pets.
Which is so important for the setup. It grounds him. He wasn't born evil. His marriage was happy, and his wife even shared his love for pets. It's all very normal.
And then we meet Pluto, the cat.
Pluto, remarkably large and beautiful, entirely black and sagacious to an astonishing degree.
Sagacious. I love that word for a cat.
It's perfect, and Poe immediately drops in this little hint of the uncanny. The narrator mentions his wife, joking that black cats are witches in disguise.
It's a casual comment, but it plants a seed, doesn't it? It connects this beloved pet to the world of superstition.
It really does. But the real shift, the pivot for the whole story, he attributes to one thing.
The fiend intemperance.
Yes, and that language is so deliberate. It's not a disease, it's a fiend, an active demonic force.
It's like he's saying something else was in control. The alcohol was the instrument, but he was the instrument it played.
And he charts the effects. He became moody, irritable, violent towards his wife even.
And the animals. He says he neglected and ill-used all of them. Except, at first, Pluto.
He still had some restraint there, right? Maybe because of that old bond, or maybe that little superstition was holding him back.
But not for long. The disease, as he calls it, takes over completely.
And that first act of violence is just shocking in its coldness.
He comes home drunk, thinks the cat is avoiding him. He grabs Pluto.
And the cat bites him. Just a little scratch, really. A natural reaction.
But in that instant, the narrator says he was possessed by the fury of a demon. His original soul, he says, just took flight from his body.
And then he does it. He takes out a penknife.
And he deliberately cut one of its eyes from the socket. It's so brutal, so specific.
And he knows it. Later, writing this down, he says, I blush, I burn, I shudder while I pen the damnable atrocity.
So some part of him, the good part, is still in there, watching in horror.
But it was powerless to stop the fiend.
So the next morning, he says, reason returns. He feels this feeble and equivocal sense of remorse.
Feeble is the key word. It doesn't last. He says it was quickly drowned in wine.
And Pluto, of course, the poor animal, recovers, but is now terrified of him. Flees whenever he approaches.
And this is where the story gets, I think, really profound. It moves beyond just a story about alcoholism.
Yeah, this is where he introduces the idea of perverseness.
In all caps. He gives it a name, like it's a law of nature. He argues it's one of the primitive impulses of the human heart.
A part of us that philosophy just hasn't bothered to look at. It's almost like he's discovering a new psychological principle.
And his definition is chillingly clear. It's the urge to do wrong for the wrong's sake only.
Right. To do something vile or stupid,
Yeah.
precisely because you know you shouldn't.
He calls it an unfathomable longing of the soul to vex itself. I mean, that's an incredible insight into self-destruction. It's not about gain, it's about defiance.
And this is the spirit that drives him to the next act.
Yeah.
Which is even worse.
Much worse. He takes Pluto out into the garden one morning.
In cold blood. And he says, tears streaming from my eyes, which is just, wow.
And he hangs the cat from a tree.
He does it, he confesses, because he knew the cat had loved him. Because the cat was innocent. He did it because it was a deadly sin that would damn his soul.
That's the perverseness. The knowledge that it's unforgivable is the actual motivation.
And the consequences are immediate, that very night.
His house burns to the ground. He loses everything.
A coincidence, he says. But the next day, when he goes back to the ruins, he finds one wall still standing.
The wall where his bed had been.
Yeah.
And on the plaster surface, there's this image.
As if it were a sculpture, a bas relief. It's the figure of a gigantic cat.
With a rope about the animal's neck.
It's unbelievable. And this is where you see his mind just scrambling to stay in control, to find a rational explanation.
Oh, it's an amazing piece of twisted logic. He comes up with this whole theory.
That a neighbor must have cut the cat down from the tree and thrown it through his window to wake him up during the fire.
Right. And then the other walls fell, compressing the cat's body into the fresh plaster on the one wall that survived.
And then the fire and the lime and ammonia from the carcass somehow created this perfect image.
I mean, the explanation is almost more unbelievable than just saying it's a ghost.
It shows how desperately he needs this to be a world of natural causes and effects, even if the chain of events is absurdly complex.
Yeah.
He's fighting against the supernatural with everything he's got.
For months, that image haunts him, and he starts feeling this urge, not remorse, he's very clear about that.
An urge to replace the cat. To find another animal just like the one he murdered.
Which is its own form of self-torture, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he's in one of these vile haunts he goes to now, and he sees it.
Sitting on a giant barrel of gin or rum, of course.
A new cat. Black, just as big as Pluto. Looks just like him in every way. Except for one thing.
A splotch of white on its chest, large, although indefinite.
And the cat seems to love him instantly. He takes it home. The landlord says he's never seen it before. It just appeared.
But the narrator's feelings are the complete opposite of what he felt for Pluto. It's instant disgust and annoyance.
Which grows into a bitterness of hatred. He wants to hurt it, but he says the memory of my former crime holds him back.
For a while, and then the next morning he makes a discovery that just escalates the terror.
The new cat is also missing an eye.
The connection is now absolute. It's not just a similar cat. In his mind, it's a reincarnation, a living symbol of his crime that has come back to haunt him.
And it does haunt him. It follows him everywhere. He can't get away from it. He wants to destroy it, but now he's held back by something else.
Absolute dread of the beast.
Yeah. And that dread has a focal point, doesn't it? That splotch of white on its chest.
It starts to change. He says it was indefinite at first, but slowly it gains a rigorous distinctness of outline.
And the shape it takes is the one thing he fears most in the world.
The gallows.
The cat is literally wearing the instrument of his own future execution on his chest.
I mean, at this point, how can he possibly rationalize that? The world is no longer just reflecting his guilt. It's actively prophesying his doom.
The cat is now an incarnate nightmare. It sleeps on his chest at night, this vast weight, incumbent eternally upon my heart.
He can't rest.
The weight of his guilt made real.
Under all that pressure, what little good was left in him just snaps.
He says his rage becomes demoniacal. And his wife, who's been this silent, suffering figure through the whole story, she becomes the target.
The final breakdown happens in the cellar. He's going down the stairs. The cat follows him, trips him up.
And that's it. That's the final trigger. He grabs an axe to kill the cat.
But his wife stops him. She grabs his arm. An act of mercy. And that interference is what pushes him over the edge. He says her intervention goads him into a rage more than demoniacal.
He pulls his arm back from her and, well...
buried the axe in her brain. She dies instantly.
And then, just as suddenly as the rage came, it's gone. He's left with the body, and he's totally calm. Entire deliberation, he says.
All his energy now goes into concealment. He thinks about cutting up the body, burning it, throwing it in the well.
But he settles on something much more gothic.
Yes. He's inspired by stories of monks in the Middle Ages. He decides to wall the body up in the cellar.
He finds a false chimney, pulls out the bricks, places the body inside, and then carefully puts the wall back together.
He even replasters it so that, as he says, the wall shows not the slightest appearance of having been disturbed.
And the cat is gone. It vanished after the murder.
For the first time in ages, he has a peaceful night's sleep. He says he feels supreme happiness with the burden of murder upon my soul.
That calm is maybe the most disturbing part of the whole story.
But it's short-lived. 4 days later, the police show up.
A rigorous investigation. But he's not worried at all. He's so confident. He walks them all over the house, even down into the cellar.
His heart, he says, beats calmly as that of one who slumbers in innocence. He's completely gotten away with it. The police are about to leave.
And then it kicks in again. that spirit of perverseness. Or maybe just pure arrogance.
He can't resist showing off. In what he calls a frenzy of bravado, he starts talking about how well built the house is.
And then he does it. He takes his cane and he raps it loudly on the exact spot in the wall where he hid the body.
Just to prove how solid it is.
And the wall answers back.
A sound comes from within the tomb. It starts as a muffled cry, and then it swells into this long, loud scream.
A sound, he says, is utterly anomalous and inhuman.
Half of horror and half of triumph.
The police, terrified, just start tearing the wall down.
And there it is, the final image. The corpse of his wife, standing upright and sitting on its head.
Is the cat, with its red extended mouth and solitary eye of fire.
Its voice, he realizes, is what consigned me to the hangman. His final line is just perfect.
I had walled the monster up within the tomb.
He thought he was sealing away his victim, but he sealed his own doom right in there with her.
So this whole dive has traced this path from, intemperance to perverseness, a complete moral and psychological collapse.
We see a man's tenderness turn into this fiendish malevolence, and he ends up exposed by the very creature he was trying to destroy.
But let's go back to that initial idea. The narrators hope that a logical mind, your mind as the listener, could explain all this away as a succession of very natural causes and effects.
Right, and you can explain some of it that way, the drinking, the rage, the murder. Sadly, that's a very human, very natural story.
But what about the other things? The perfect image of the cat and the rope burned into the wall.
Or the second cat with the missing eye, whose chest marking physically transforms into the shape of a gallows.
And that final scream, that inhuman shriek of triumph from inside a sealed brick wall.
So what part of this confession, if any, is truly beyond natural causes? What element just can't be explained away?
And maybe the really unsettling question is this. If that gallows mark was real, if it was a literal prophecy on the cat's fur, then maybe his fate was sealed the moment he first acted on that spirit of perverseness.
Maybe the police didn't catch him at all. Maybe he was just fulfilling a destiny that his own heart had already written.